Hey, I'm John, and this is a tiny book review. We're taking a look at Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. This is a book that is basically the private writings of the Emperor Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome at the time. He never intended for these to be released, which you have to keep reminding yourself while you're reading them. But there's a lot of interesting stuff in here. Generally thought of a work of philosophy. I mean, obviously there's a lot of philosophy in here, Stoic philosophy particularly. I actually think the practical stuff is probably more helpful than the strictly philosophical stuff. Personally, I think there's a lot of stuff the Stoics don't get right, or they don't get quite right. But I think when it comes to practicality, a lot of what they say is almost spot on. As far as quotes, there's like a million quotes I could pull out of it. The nature of the book, because it's split into small little blurbs, it's like endlessly quotable. Almost every page, there's like 3 or 4 things you could pull out that you could quote and put on a mug or something. And a bunch of bros would probably love it. But there definitely are like a few themes that he's going to come back to over and over again, and you can tell he's actually obsessed with these kind of themes. I think this is one of the quotes that really sums up one of those. Dost thou not see how many qualities thou art immediately able to exhibit, in which there is no excuse of natural incapacity and unfairness, and yet thou still remains voluntarily below the mark? You know, and I know, that we're not being as good as we know we could be. Regardless of what other people think about what we're doing, we know that we are not doing what we could be doing. And I think that idea alone is worth ruminating on and worth thinking on. Even by my own measurements, I'm falling short. I'm not living up to my own ideals. But to get to the rating, I generally rate books 1 to 5. 4 to 5 basically means I think anybody should read it. 3 to 4 means that I think people who aren't particularly interested in the genre or the author should read it. And below 3, basically, I don't think anybody should probably read it, or at least doesn't have a good reason to read it. I would probably put this at like a 3.9. I really struggled with whether to make it a 3.9 or a 4, because I do think most people should read this. I think it'd be valuable for most people, but I also think the way that he writes, because there's no narrative to it, I do think it would be hard for some people to read. And I think for a lot of people, you probably could read like 50 pages of it and you'll understand his perspective. Because he does repeat himself quite a lot, which again, he's not writing to us, he's writing to himself. Of course he repeats himself. So if you try it and you get 40, 50 pages in and it's just not hitting for you, you probably got most of what you're going to get out of this anyway. But I think a lot of people will benefit from it. So I'll put it at 3.9. I think you probably maybe should read it, maybe not everybody, but you should read something and get off the internet. Read a book.